So in this question, point X in this question, a lorry is crossing a bridge and the bridge is supported by the two columns, as you can see. The force P and Q are there on the bridge from the columns. Whenever you see a two supports in a question, you have to take one of them as a pivot. It's up to you, any one of them you will take as a pivot whenever two supports are there. No, the previous question, I think you got confused with car A is not taking 1 point. I will repeat this part. See, first when we solve, we did not solve that both are crossing the finish line. First, when we solved this question, we said that the total distance, which is when the two cars are side by side, the total distance covered by car A is equals to total distance covered by car B. So the total distance covered by car A is equals to 9 plus D. Like from here till here is D and here is 9. So the total distance covered by car A is 9 plus D and the total distance covered by car B is equals to S. So what we did, the distance covered by car A, which is 9 plus D, should be equals to distance covered by car B, which is equals to S. So they are side by side. We don't know what time they crosses each other. Then we use a formula. Like for this one, the car A is moving at a constant speed. Distance is speed multiplied by time. So this will be equals to speed is 93 and the time we call T. Like T is the time where they are next to side by side. And for B, we use the equation of the motion because the car B is accelerating. So S is equals to ut plus half at square. So initial the distance covered is same. So I can say, so the 9 plus D is equals to S. And here what is S? S is equals to ut 93t plus half, acceleration is 14t square. So S is equals to 93t plus 7t square. So in place of S, we'll write 93t plus 7t square. In place of here, we will write 9 plus 93t because that is a value for the D. Now, when we compare the two equation, 93 is common. So the 93 can t cancel out with 93. So 9 is equals to 7t square. So 9 over 7 is equals to t square. And we take a root. So when we take a root, what is the root of 9 by 7? What is the root 9 by 7? 9 divided by 7 in a root? 1.13. So 1.13 is the time when these two are side by side, but we don't know whether they're side by side before the finish line or maybe they're side by side after the finish line. That we don't know. Maybe the two cars are side by side before the finish line or after the finish line. That we don't know. We just said that they're side by side after 1.13 second. That is the first part. The next part, they said that at the instant shown, a car A is 100 meters from the finish line. Deduce whether the car A reaches the finish line before B. Now the second part, we want to find that which one crosses the finish line first. Is it A or B? Because we don't know, maybe the two cars are side by side after the finish line. So that we don't know. Or maybe the two cars are side by side before the finish line. So now what we are doing, we're finding the time taken by car A to reach the finish line. So how much time the car A from this instant, how much time it will take? So we have the distance, we have the speed of a car A, which was 93. So I can find speed is distance divided by time. So the time is equals to distance divided by speed. So the car A to reach the finish line, 100 divided by 93, it will take 1.075 seconds. means after 1.075 seconds, they will, like car A will finish the line, like reach the finish line. And this time is longer than car B, because when they were side by side, they will be side by side 1.1 second. But this time is less than 1.1 second. So definitely the two cars are side by side after the finish line. Because when the time is 1.1 second, they are side by side. But the car A finished reached the finish line before 1.1 second. It means the car A finished the race first. Then after 1.1 second, the two cars will be in line. Even if I don't solve the second part, I can compare this time with the time taken by car A to reach the finish line. Or you can also find the time taken by car B to reach the finish line. Only the finish line. So the time taken by car B to reach the finish line from this instant. So S is equals to UT plus half AT square. So we have S is equals to the total distance 9 plus 100. So it has to cover 109 meters. The initial speed is 93 t plus half. Acceleration is due to gravity 14. Sorry, not gravity, acceleration of an object 14 t square. So this will be 109 is equals to 93 t plus 7 t square. Now we use a quadratic equation to solve. So we will take only the positive root, and the positive root is 1.08 seconds. 82 seconds. So it means the car B will reach the finish line at 1.082 seconds. So means it will take longer time to reach the finish line. It means the car A will reach the finish line first, or car A will finish the race first. Is it clear? Yeah, the second method, what you can do, you can also find. Yeah, in the second method, you can also find how much distance, because we know the car A will complete the race after 1.075 seconds. So we'll find how much distance will be covered by car B in the same time. So when we use like S is equals to UT plus half AT square, we'll substitute time as 1.075 to know how much distance it cover. And we will find that it won't cover 109 meter, it will cover 108 meter. So in the same time interval, when A finish the race, the B will only cover 108 meter. So again, the B does not finish the line or does not cross the line. If this distance will come out more than 109, it means the B crosses the line first as compared to that of A. So whenever you see a question in which you have the two supports are there, so any one of them you have to take a pivot and consider the clockwise moment is equals to anti. Any one of them you can consider as a pivot. So example, I consider point X as a pivot. So this will cause, the force from a lorry will cause a clockwise rotation. The weight of the bridge will cause a clockwise rotation, and the force Q will cause an anti-clockwise rotation. And we consider this is in equilibrium. The total clockwise and anti-clockwise moment or turning effects are balanced. So the weight of the bridge, force from the lorry is 4.2 exponent 5. So we write this as 4.2 into 10 to the power 5. Weight of the bridge is 9.8 exponent 5. So we write 9.8 exponent 5. And this force is unknown. So the total clockwise and anti-clockwise moments are equal. So I will write 35, because this distance from the pivot is 35. So I'll write 35 multiply by 4.2 into 10 to the power 5 plus the distance from the pivot 35. This distance is 35 plus 25. So that is equals to 60. So this will be 60 times the force, that is 9.8 exponent 5 is equals to, this is the total clockwise anti-clockwise moment, the total distance from the pivot. So this is the total distance from pivot, 60 plus 60, that is 120, and the force is Q. So 120 is divided, other side multiplied. So this whole factor will be divided by 120. That will give us a value for Q. And if I need the value for P, so the total upward force must be equal to total downward force. After getting the value for Q, the two forces which are acting downward, 4.2 into 10 to the power 5, and the other force is 9.8 into 10 to the power 5. So we'll use the condition of equilibrium that total upward force equals to total downward force. The upward force is P plus Q, and the downward force is 4.2 into 10 to the power 5 plus 9.8 into 10 to the power 5. So the total upward will be equal to total downward. This will give us the value for Q. And here I'll substitute the value for Q. Subtract from this sum, I'll get the value for P. So whenever in a question you see two pivots, then you will take like two supports, you will take one of them as a point of rotation or a pivot. Is it clear, this one? That's how you'll get the two supports. Golfer hits the ball into the, how to get P? Okay, yes, I'll repeat. See, we are using the two equations. One is the moment, because two condition of equilibrium. First is the clockwise moment is equals to anti-clockwise moment. And the second condition of equilibrium, the total upward force must be equal to total downward force, so there is no resultant force. So what is the total upward force? The force Q is there, the force P is there, that's the upward, and the weight of the trolley and the weight of the bridge, weight of the lorry, that is, and the weight of the total downward force, that is 4.2 into 10 to the power 5, and weight of the bridge 9.8 into 10 to the power 5. So according to this condition, the total upward force equals to downward force. So P plus Q is the upward force, and this is the total downward force. So P and Q are upward and these two are downward, they will be balanced. And the total clockwise moment, because of these two forces, will be equal to total anti-clockwise moment. That will give us the value for Q. So once we get the value for Q, we'll substitute here and subtract from this result. So we'll get the value for P. So P will be equals to 4.2 exponent 5 plus 9.8 into 10 to the power 5 minus Q, subtract Q. That will give us the value for P. So the conditions of the equilibrium you have to use whenever you see the question related to a pivot and you need force on the pivot. A golfer hits a ball into the air at a speed of 52 meters per second at an angle of 41 to the horizontal. The ball is landed on the ground near the hole. So the ball landed on the ground near the hole. It's at a height of 11 meter, this height. The ground was 11 meter higher than the starting point of the ball. Show that the vertical component of the velocity, initial velocity is 30. So we know the velocity will have the two component, horizontal and vertical. The horizontal component does not change throughout the motion. It remain same, but the vertical component will decrease. It will decelerate according to the gravity, like 9.8. So the initial velocity is 52. So we have the two component, horizontal and the vertical. So the component of the vector which is with an angle, it's written with cosine. So the horizontal component will be 52 cosine 41. And the component which is opposite to the angle, that is written with sine. So this is equals to 52 sine 41. So the vertical component will be equals to 52 sine 41. What's the answer for 52 sine 41? The component 34.1. 34.1, it's a large difference. We have 52 times 52. Thirty-four point one. Okay, so about 30 we have to show. So this will be 52 sine 41. Now show that the time for a ball to reach the ground was about 7 seconds, and you should ignore the effect of air resistance because we consider. So how much time it will take to reach the ground? And we have to show it is time to reach the ground is about 7 seconds. And the ground was like 11 meter high. So the vertical displacement is, we know the vertical displacement, we know the vertical component, that was 34.1 meters per second. So we'll use the equation of the motion. S is equals to ut plus half at square. The vertical displacement is 11. Initial velocity is 34.1. Time is t plus half. Acceleration is due to gravity 9.8 t square. So this is equals to 11 is equals to 34.1 t plus 4.9 t square. But because when you take the value for acceleration, it will be negative as it will decelerate. So this sign will change. Instead of positive, it will be negative, minus 4.9. So when we form a quadratic equation, 4.9 t square, I move other side, minus 34.1 t plus 11 is equals to 0. So solve this quadratic equation. X is equals to minus b plus minus under root b square minus minus b plus minus root b square minus 4ac over 2a. What's the answer for the time? 6.2. So about, so this time will come out 6.62 seconds. So that's how we work out how much time it will take to reach this 11 meter. Is it clear? This one? So whenever you're taking a motion, the vertical motion, the acceleration, you will always substitute as minus 9.8. The next is deduce. The whole is horizontal distance of 250 meters from the starting point, as shown. Deduce whether the ball lands within 5 meters, like the within 5 meters mean like either 255 or 245 it may cover. So that will be within 5 meters. So we just need the horizontal, we ignore the air resistance. So we'll use a horizontal component. Whenever we need a horizontal distance, we use a horizontal component. The horizontal component is equals to 52 cosine 41. And the distance is 250. So we use a formula because horizontally it does not accelerate. So we use the speed is distance divided by time. If I need the horizontal distance, so it will be speed multiplied by time is the horizontal distance. So the horizontal speed is 52 cosine 41 multiplied by time, because we already calculated in the previous, it's a continuation of the question. In the previous part, we calculated to reach the hole, it is taking 6.62 seconds. So the time is equals to 6.62 seconds. So in 6.62 seconds, how much horizontal distance it will cover? What's the answer here? 6.62. If you are not able to solve the last part, then you can use the time as 7. Otherwise, you will use your value. 259. So 250 or 260. So means the ball will land like ball will cover 260 meter, the total distance. So the ball will not land within 5 meter hole. Like the ball will not land within the 5 meter of the hole. Because to land 5 meter from the hole, the distance should be in the range from 245 to 255. But when we calculate, we got 260. Like it means the ball is like 10 meter ahead of the hole. Is it clear, this one? So the ball will cover 260 meter, but it should land within like either from any number from 245 to 255 to be in a 5 meter range. The question is related to an optical fiber. Optical fiber have many uses in medicine as well as in communication. They can also be incorporated with the materials such as the fabrics. Some optical fibers are made from a central core of a transparent material surrounded by a material of a different refractive index called a cladding. The speed of a light in a core and the cladding is there, and calculate the critical angle. If we need a critical angle, what does it mean? It means the light is moving in a core and then it should travel at a 90 degree. That is, we need the angle of this incidence. This will be a theta. This is theta 1 and this is theta 2. The theta 2 should be 90. So theta 1 will be refers to a critical angle. The refractive index of the core we call N1 and the refractive index of the cladding we call N2. So we use the Snell's law. According to the Snell's law, N1 sine theta 1 should be equals to N2 sine theta 2. N1 is the refractive index of the first medium. We don't know. Sine theta 1 is the angle in the first medium. That is the critical angle. N2 is a refractive index in the second medium. That also we don't know. And theta 2 should be 90 because for a critical angle. And sine 90 is 1. So we can say N1 sine C is equals to N2. Or we can also say N1 over N2 is equals to, when we simplify, so we can say sine C is equals to N2 over N1. That is one thing. The ratio of the refractive index is sine C. Now, we know the relation between the refractive index and the speed, they're inverse. If a medium is having a high refractive index, it will have a smaller speed. So the ratio is always, the product is always constant. So there's another formula which relate the refractive index and the speed. So N1, N2 is equals to N1 V1 is equals to N2 V2. Or if I simplify this, I can say V1 over V2 is equals to N2 over N1. Means the ratio of the speed is reciprocal of the ratio of the refractive index. So the N2 over N1 is V1 over V2. So we can say sine C is equals to V1 over V2. What is V1? V1 is a speed in the first medium, the core. Because that is a medium one. So V1 is a speed in the first medium. So 1.96 into 10 to the power 8 divided by V2 is a speed in the second medium, 2.03 into 10 to the power 8. 10 power 8 cancel with 10 power 8. So C is equals to sine inverse 1.96 divided by 2.03. When you take a sine inverse of this, that will give us the refractive index in the critical angle of the core to cladding. Is it clear, this one? Do I need to know the derivation of N1? No need for this is not a derivation, it's just a formula, direct formula. Like N1, it's derived from that refractive index is inversely proportional to speed. So N1 V1 will be equals to K, or N2 V2 is also equals to K. Next is a student is about to do a bungee jump from a height of a bridge, from a high bridge. The student is attached to a bridge by elastic rope. The student jumps from a bridge and initially accelerates. So he's accelerating. The diagram shows a student at three different positions. At A, the distance fallen by the student is equal to original length of a rope. At B, the student is in equilibrium. When we say equilibrium, means no resultant force. And student C, the rope is maximum extension, and rope will try to pull the student, so he will start to decelerate. Explain how the acceleration of a student changes as she moves from position A to position C. Even the student have sent the marking scheme point, like I think you just want to discuss the points. So first thing, like the indicative content points are there. Initially, the weight is greater than the tension, so resultant force is downward. As you can see here, initially in the beginning, the weight is more than the tension in the string, so there's a resultant downward force. So he will accelerate downward, like the first picture. When we draw a vector diagram, the weight is greater than the tension. So weight is greater than the tension, the resultant force is downward. If the resultant force is downward, he will accelerate downward. That is the first point. First 2 points. Then the tension increases as the length of a rope increases. Like this part, because if a string stretches, then the tension in the string increases. Like its string is stretching, so the tension start to increase. And eventually the tension will be equals to the weight. When the tension is equals to weight, there is no resultant force. If there is no resultant force, he does not have any acceleration. But he will not stop. Why he will not stop? Because of his inertia, when moving object and the forces are balanced, the object does not stop. The object continue to move with a constant speed. So at equilibrium position, when the tension and weight are equal, no resultant force, so he will move at a constant speed. But as the length further increases for the rope, the tension increases. So here, tension is more than the weight. So if the tension is more than the weight, now the resultant force is upward. If a resultant force is upward and the direction of the motion is downward, the object will decelerate or the object will slow down. So the points, so tension increases as the length increases. So from A to B, the resultant force is decreasing. Why resultant force is decreasing? Because the tension is increasing. It's same like a same concept like a skydiver jumping without a parachute. Initially, his weight is acting downward, then the air resistance act upward, which cause a resultant force to decrease. And at point B, he will not have any resultant force or no acceleration. And from B, below B, what will happen? The tension, because the rope is stretching more, so the tension is more than the weight, so he will start to decelerate. Is it clear, this one? The points? Why A to C he is not decelerating? Because from A to C, not from A to C, from A to B, he will accelerate. Look, I will give a number. Let's say his weight is 700 Newton initially. So as a result, he will have an acceleration downward. Then what happened? As he's falling, weight remains 700, but the rope is stretching. So the tension start to increase. The tension is 200. So what happened to a resultant force? A resultant force is 500 Newton downward. So still he will accelerate downward. Like his speed will change, his speed will increase. Further, as the rope is stretching, what will happen? Let's say it is 400 Newton is a tension and 700 Newton is a result weight. So there's a resultant force of 300 Newton. Still resultant force is downward, so he will accelerate downward. So all these cases, his speed will increase, but the acceleration will decrease. And eventually at position B, what will happen? The tension, let's say it is 700 Newton and weight is also 700 Newton. So there is no resultant force. If no resultant force, no acceleration. But he will not stop. Why he will not stop? Because he was moving initially. So when moving objects, the forces are balanced, the object will not be stopped. The object will continue to move with a constant speed. So he will move at a constant speed at this moment. Then as the rope further stretches, so now the tension is more. So the tension might be 800 and the weight is still 700. So now there's a resultant force 100 Newton upward and he is going downward. So as a result, when the direction of the motion and the direction of the resultant force are opposite, the object will slow down or the object will decelerate. How below B the resultant force is upward? Because as they mentioned that point B is the equilibrium point. Equilibrium means that there is no resultant force. So when we say no resultant force, the upward force must be equals to the downward force. But then the string is continuous to stretch. When the string continue to stretch, like let's say the upward force is 100 Newton and the downward is also 100. But now the string stretches, so the upward force will, the tension will be greater. So tension might be 200 and his weight remain 100. So there's a resultant force upward. And that resultant force is direct opposite to his direction of the motion. That's why he will slow down or decelerate. Here, the weight was 100, the tension was, let's say, 20. Here, what happened? The weight and tension are equal. Then, if it says C, resultant force is upward, yes, you will get the mark. If you say at position C, the resultant force is upward and he decelerate. But the question is how the acceleration of a student changes. That is what is the important point. Like use the term acceleration with the resultant force. Isn't the part difference destructive is n plus lambda by 2? No, part difference for destructive is n plus half. Constructive, any point, part difference is given by 2n plus 1 by 2 will cause a destructive. What does it mean? Like, if n is equals to 0, if I put n is equals to 0, so it will be 2 multiplied by 0 plus 1 over 2 lambda. So 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. So this will be 0 plus 1 by 2 lambda or it will become 1 by 2 lambda. So we got half wavelength. It means when there's half wavelength, it means destructive interference. When you put n is equals to 1, in place of n, when you substitute 1, so it will be 2 multiplied by 1 plus 1 divided by 2 lambda. So this is equals to 2 plus 1 by 2 lambda. 2 plus 1 by 2 means 3 by 2 lambda. So 3 by 2 lambda also destructive interference. Where n is the order of image. Like this will be the central maxima where n is equals to 0. This is n is equals to 1 for maxima, n is equals to 2. And this also n is equals to 1, n is equals to 2. And for destructive also, this will be n is equals to 1, the first destructive, n is equals to 2, the second destructive. Here n is equals to 1, n is equals to 2 for a destructive as well. Yeah, this formula is correct. For in exam, you can use this formula as well. Because this formula is like ordering the image. When we have a double slit, when we have the double slit, we have a central maxima is there. Then we have first order maxima, first order, second order maxima. So for maximas, the constructive interference, we say the part difference is n lambda. N lambda means like here the part difference is 0 lambda. Here it will be 1 lambda, 2 lambda. Here it will be 1 lambda and 2 lambda. Then we also have a destructive interference where they cancel out like that. Let's say this is the first destructive interference, second destructive interference. So if I need the part difference for a destructive interference, I can put for first destructive interference, the part difference, the formula I can use that it is 2n plus 1 by 2 lambda. Where n is the first destructive, n1, n is equals to 1. So what I will get the answer? I will get that the answer is lambda by 2. Then I will get 3 by 2 lambda. 3 lambda by 2. Here also lambda by 2, then I'll get 3 lambda by 2 and so on. So you can also substitute that. Is it clear? Any question or doubt related to the past papers? If you have, you can send. No doubt. Okay. So you can send on my WhatsApp. I will discuss in the next session.